Hey nerds, join us on Discord and hit that subscribe button.
You may know me as Yiddy, but many call me Sika.
Oma!
Kellic, Flynn. And I'm your DM, Seth. Welcome to Venture Forth. When last we left our heroes.
Dim's us.
Only me.
That's you guys.
That's us. That's who we are.
As some members of the Agents of Repair prevailed themselves with a veritable treasure trove of magical shops that the arcane city of Westreach has to offer, our resident sentinel made his way to the Blue Ring, where he met with the figure he'd been pointed toward, but not before a couple of interactions that left more than one resident of the city with a dinner tale to tell about the excitable halfling they had a chance encounter with. There were many witnesses to Flynn's trek to the Blue Ring. Flynn found Othirine and explained the nature of his impending journey into the wastes, his trepidations about using magic, and his need to return once again to his training. You were led by Othirine to the Coral Hall, the headquarters of the Coral Guard within Westreach, and took advantage of her connections there to acquire space to train. And throughout the course of the afternoon, you learned a few new tricks from this older and more experienced sentinel who bore similar markings to your own, indicating a mastery over magic that few within the collective possess. Your training and your shopping concluded. You each took stock of some of the new items of power in your possession.
Yes,
You walking out with all your bags. But took stock of all of the new items within your possession as you sat down within your room in the Swaying Bow to wait for Kira, the guide you've been promised by the Crownlink crew. But as you waited, Seeker's scroll turned gold, and an urgent and foreboding message arrived from Queen Isolde in Stillgate, a message that Salix Gwyn, newly installed High Warden, and the brother of Thessaly had been missing for over 24 hours, with none the wiser as to his whereabouts. With time ticking away, and knowing that you could not put off your journey into the wastes, Thessaly bid farewell to the group, for now. As foretold, their path diverges from yours now. And a short time later, after said farewells, Kira arrived to the Swaying Bow, and begins to lead you all away, out of the front doors of the inn you have called home for these last days, on your path towards the waste.
Oh, gee. The waste.
Okay.
We can do this.
It's happening.
So,
It's happening.
you guys exit the Swaying Bow, all of you, as the light has now fully faded away from Westreach. The sun has set to the west over the Gulf of Nakir. You see now the last bits of light have faded away from the sparkling water. But instead of heading towards one of the teleportation circles that you know will take you outside of the city, instead, Kira leads you further north, along the sort of western side of the Green Ring and deeper and deeper. You see as the buildings begin to fall away, as you get more and more into this western section of the Green Ring where, again, construction seems to get more disparate, and instead it gives way to sort of smaller pathways that wind towards the forest.
Are we still up in the sky? You said we're looking towards the forest?
Yeah, you guys are deeper. You're in the forest of the Green Ring.
We're going skydiving.
The Green Ring has forest.
The city. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think so? That'd be crazy.
Walker's an ironic name. They're actually flying the whole way.
So you guys walk deeper into this forest, and again, this sort of light of the city kind of fades away. And as you guys get deeper into this area, the sort of sounds of nature take over, and suddenly the sounds of the city kind of fall. And as you guys are walking, you see as three figures detach from the nearby shadows. Kira does not react. As a matter of fact, well, she does react, but friendly. She raises a hand and greets them as suddenly, you guys all kind of tense as three figures just kind of detach themselves from the shadows. Most of them are cloaked. They're all three of them are cloaked. But their cloaks are not all the way back. And with most of you guys, the sort of fading light here, the dim light underneath the trees, you see these three figures. First, about 5'9", sort of a wiry build. You see this close cropped blonde hair, very, very short, a sort of narrow face with eyes that appear to be a dark coloration, tough to tell in the lighting, but except for actually, Kellic, you have dark vision. The rest of you do not, though, because you do.
So because of Twilight.
So you have excellent dark vision.
Yeah, super good.
So Kellic and Seeker, you guys are able to see a sort of these hazel eyes in this very narrow, sort of almost pinched face. You see a sort of simple rapier at the hip, a collection of sort of small bags and various sort of gear for travel. You see a backpack slung over one shoulder, and again, just a sort of deep forest green cloak that is currently pulled up so that most of the face is sheltered, but you can still see the features.
Human?
Human, yeah, appears to be human. You see, coming in from the other side, you see a human, but with the sort of like delicate, thin features of half-elven heritage. You can see the slight curvature of the ears that comes out, a sort of almost like a copper, like a burnished copper-colored skin. You see a lean woman with dark black hair. You see a bright, almost too vibrant, like green streak through the front that sort of hangs down and goes back behind the ear. And you see along the hands and going up the neck, actually, as well, you see a series of tattoos. You see like vines and thorns and what looks like almost various types of like mushrooms and very bright, vibrant flowers. You can see with your guys' excellent dark vision, you see that the hands of this creature, as they reach up to kind of like pull the hood of the cloak a little further, you can see the hands are scarred, but not like cuts. Instead, you see like almost circles, like in these odd uniform patterns around the hands and wrists. That don't speak to mind of any sort of like cuts or abrasions, but almost like chemical burns. Mm. And finally, the standing, and this figure's on the shorter side, about 5'4", and then finally towering over both of them, sort of almost walking down the path towards you, a massive figure, probably almost 7 feet tall. You see a heavily muscled, even under the cloak, you can see the thick roped muscles of like the trapezius muscles, like that thick neck and the big broad shoulders of, and through the cowl, you see the milky white eyes of a large Goliath. But where the bottom of the jaw would normally be skin, instead you see a steel prosthetic, like a totally steel jaw. Wow. With a sort of what appears to be kind of a mask that goes over the front of it.
Okay.
Cool.
And
cover that shit up.
There's children here.
No one wants to see that.
And as he walks, you see as his hands flicker, and in sign language, he signs to Kira, who you see responds with a quick movement of the hands. And you understand the meaning, Flynn, as this creature signals to her, "Got your back," and then she signals back, "Got my front," as like a greeting passes between the two of them, and they all just kind of like nod at you, and then fall into step beside you. Is there anything any of you do or say?
How tall? You said he towers.
About 7 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah, quite a large guy. Very, very heavily muscled. Carries no visible weapons. The shorter female has what appears to be a sort of long, curving staff of gnarled wood. It almost looks rotten. Like it almost looks like, you know, the how wood, when it rots, it looks kind of like blackened and soft and almost spongy. It almost looks like that.
That is the half-elf has the
half-elven woman, yeah. Mm-hmm. And her heritage appears to be wood elf, the half-elven side. The copper-tinged skin and the green streak in the hair is usually indicative of that ancestry. But they kind of fall in beside you silently as they all kind of just like exchange silent greetings. No one really says anything beyond the quick flicker of sign language between the two. And unless you guys say anything,
I'll just give Seeker a look of discomfort, but I wouldn't say anything.
If I can catch eyes with the Goliath, I'll just hold my hand up and sign Flynn and then point to myself.
The you see as the eyebrows like briefly raise in surprise. And then the eyes kind of narrow as if just taking stock of the fact that you understand what he says. He's not accustomed to this. And after a second of like striding next to you, signs back Vorn, Vorn, and then points to his chest. That's it.
Awesome.
When you catch my eye, I'll just nod, shrug.
Just a
have
long
some
sigh.
accompaniment to wherever it is that you guys are heading.
Before we go further, is there a possibility that I could have gotten some stuff in the town when I went traveling?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just like some spell components and paper. Is that cool?
Absolutely, yeah. I remember you made a run to while you guys were waiting on Kira.
And I picked
you
up
made
the
a run.
wand
Sell
and
your
stuff.
thing.
You sold the amulet. So yeah, you could
Would
have
that
picked
have
up.
made sense that maybe she.
What did you want to pick up? You said.
Magic paper and just a few spells components
Oh
that I
right,
told you
yes,
about.
you told me about it. Okay, cool. Yeah.
How much is paper? And I'm trying to remember like how much I probably would need for a few first level spells, maybe second.
50 gold pieces per level of spell. So it's 50 for a first level, 100 for a second level. I think.
Could I do like 500?
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So you have 500 gold pieces worth of the requisite paper and ink for spellcraft.
And then the spell components.
Yep.
Awesome. Let me put that in while.
Yeah. Just
thank you.
So yeah, you got it.
500.
Thank you for the reminder. All right. So you two share your sort of look as you realize that the unannounced accompaniment.
And we all see them even if we don't have
Oh, yeah.
perfect vision. We
Yeah.
just can't see more
Their
than the
features.
cloak
features are more
figure.
difficult for you to
Yeah.
make out. Yeah.
But they get
'cause,
close enough, right?
Yeah, they're close enough for you guys to see roughly. Like you guys pick up, like you guys probably don't see like the burn marks and the coloration of the eyes or like the hair, but you can see like their statures. You can definitely see the faint bit of light that comes in here glinting off the steel sort of jaw
Yeah.
prosthetic of the one creature of the Goliath gentleman. But yeah, some of the details are lost for you too.
So yeah, I see all of them, and I see Kellic and Seeker share a look, and I just cross my arms and I keep walking.
Yeah.
I'm mad about it. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You guys continue walking for probably another 5 to 10 minutes or so. And again, the sounds of the city slowly fade away until almost all you hear is just the natural sounds of the environment. You hear crickets and sort of the night, the normal ambiance of day to night in the forest as the wind kind of rustles through the trees. And eventually, up ahead of you, you see something very, very large begin to take shape. You see a massive, probably, 100-foot tall trunk. This huge, sprawling black oak. So you see the sort of gnarled branches that curve out, and even the branches that offshoot from the main trunk are like as thick around as a person, right? Like standing. Huge branches that come out, and the canopy itself extends outward in a way for probably, 200 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
As the branches of this oak kind of drape down and then fall outwards in a way. You see as tiny little like lights are sort of twinkling up and amidst the branches, and you see as they kind of move and float, and suddenly like they'll like zip over, and then two will join together, and then they'll zip over to another location. You have really far dark vision.
Yeah, like 300
crazy
feet.
good. Yeah.
Like it's silly. I don't even know if my eyes work that far.
Yeah, So Seeker, with that dark vision and your attuned vision because of your connection to Laurus and the gifts that he has given you, in the light, you see tiny little bodies. Little tiny winged creatures that are the sources of these lights.
Or something.
As you see, apparently, some form of tiny, floating, glowing creature that gives the ambiance of the light to this place.
That's cool.
And you see underneath the tree, you see rough pews. You see benches and logs that are all spread outward and around. And in the darkness, thanks to the light from the pixies, you also see that this tree, though it is basically shortly after the Everdawn, and most trees should have lost their leaves by now. Instead, you see a tree caught in perpetual fall. You see bright orange, vibrant red, and you see as like leaves just gently drift down occasionally, even as you guys are watching, as you make your way inward to the outer perimeter of this space. You don't go all the way in, as Kira stops kind of at the edge as you guys arrive at the Shrine of Fallen Leaves. And she just stops and starts to cast around her eyes. And your passive perception is quite high.
It's 20.
What's yours?
I think it's 18.
Okay. So the two of you, Kira and Vorn, like your guys' ears catch this first as you hear this sort of like very faint sound, but the sound of like cracking wood. And outward from behind a tree off to your right, you see as another robed figure steps out. Not through any sort of portal, but just exits through the wood. Just detaches.
Druids.
You see a figure it's sort of a weird optical illusion. It almost seems as if they were there the whole time, but you know that they weren't. It's not like they were standing up against a camouflage. They step out
of it.
And you see as they're cloaked, their cowl is pulled up far and away. But your guys' passive perceptions are quite high. You see what appears to be a humanoid form, but instead of skin, you see expanses of deep brown bark as a dryad exits from this tree. Kira turns and walks over to this creature and says to her, you catch the name Melanippe. Melanippe. Melanippe, I ask once again for your favor. We ride on the wind tonight. And the dryad, in this sort of like almost dry, crackling voice, very well, Kira, but you must bring what I asked you for. Kira nods. She says, I will bring you what I find. And the creature waves at all of you to come closer.
Yeah, okay, I'm walking over.
In for a copper, in for a gold, right?
I mean,
Yeah, we are in.
that's our only way out there, so.
As you guys all come closer, Kira turns to you all. We'll ride the wind to Nuxvar. It'll only get us to the edge of the waste. From there, we're on foot.
Right in the wind, meaning what exactly?
And Kira smiles and looks over her shoulder at Melanippe, who, under her breath, begins to whisper the incantations for a spell.
So we're riding like over the tear, like we're riding far.
That's what's being
This
proposed.
is a very long.
Nuxvar is probably between 200 and 250 miles away from you.
Wow.
Right now.
Okay.
And this dryad finishes this incantation with the spell, and you see as these small bits of wind, these sort of, as the leaves pick up and swirl around each of you in turn, and you look down and you see as from the bottom up, your feet begin to turn to mist.
As it starts to turn, I look at Kellic and I'm like, magic.
As she casts Wind Walk on all of you.
Wind on how many people? That is a
Up to 10.
high-level spell.
Up to 10.
Wind.
It's a 6th level druid spell.
Wind walk. Let's
Wind
go.
Walk. And Kira, as she, as the spell is cast and you begin to turn to mist, she says, Windwalk will allow us to travel quickly and over land. I don't fancy walking from here to Nuxvar. As she's like slowly turning to mist, and she says, you can turn back. It'll take about a minute. We won't be able to communicate, so say your last pieces now as she begins to like turn fully into mist.
So we all are gonna turn into mist?
You guys are all turning into
The
Holy
last
fuck.
thing you see is my eyes rolling at Seeker. On him saying magic. It's just like...
Amazing. As you feel the cool sensation of your body turning to mist, it still maintains its shape. Like you all still have, a vaguely humanoid outline. But as finally you guys, like as the mist rises up and kind of goes over your head, you feel this kind of cold sensation as if you're walking through a layer of cold water and your forms completely turn to mist as you look around and all of you guys still very much in your forms, but misty.
Can we touch ourselves?
Yeah, you can feel yourself. Yeah.
And does it go through or do we feel...
As you like put your hand, like your arm goes through your own head.
I reach out and I boop Flynn.
Goes right into his face.
Perfect back.
So if I try to reach for my cloak hood, I can't grab...
Yeah, I can't turn it up. Can't pull it up.
Oh.
I just start moving my arms like a ghosty ghost.
So, up to 10 willing creatures you can see within range assume a gaseous form for the duration, which is 8 hours, appearing as wisps of cloud. While in this cloud form, a creature has a flying speed of 300 feet and has resistance to damage from non-magical weapons. The only actions a creature can take in this form are the dash action or revert to its normal form. Reverting takes 1 minute, during which time a creature is incapacitated and can't move. Until the spell ends, a creature can revert to cloud form, which also requires the 1 minute transformation. So that's what Kira is telling you, is you can change back and forth.
Oh,
Right.
you go back.
Yeah,
Right.
but it just takes
8 hours.
Just gotta hover there for a second.
If a creature is in cloud form, this is very important, and flying when the effect ends,
Oh,
the
you are
creature
no longer
descends
flying.
60 feet per round for 1 minute until it lands, which it does safely.
God.
If it can't land after 1 minute, the creature falls the remaining distance.
Oh.
So,
All right, if we start
So-
feeling like we're turning solid, go down.
60 feet. Got it.
go down 60
Right,
feet
or
around.
go up so that you can do a minute off and then a minute back in.
Go up.
All right.
I love that.
You're just falling like incapacitated.
Last
transform your
second.
back.
Yeah.
Like any minute now, I'm gonna turn back in a minute.
Just waiting
That would be
here.
horrifying. You're like at cruising. You're at like cruising altitude, and you just like suddenly feel your body go back to normal. Horrifying.
Yeah.
But you've all turned to mist, and Kira sort of waves and grabs your guys' attention, and drifts off the ground and begins to fly.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys follow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
All right.
I'll start
Ain't
following.
nowhere
I'll
else
start.
to go.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Misty
I'm like,
We're missed now.
Yeah. So you guys very quickly ascend and you go upwards through the trees, passing the small little twinkling lights of the various. As you guys now get closer, you do in fact see various pixies and sprites that call this place home. So apparently this area, somehow suffused with magic, is some form of refuge for some fey creatures that wander the material plane of Elbor. But you upwards through the branches and break through the forest canopy and see the lush blanket of the green ring extend outward and away from you, and the edge of the city of Westreach as you begin flying that way.
Oh.
I'm
That is
curious.
crazy.
How does everybody? What's going through everybody's heads as you guys approach the precipitous drop? You're over 1,000 feet in the air right now, and as you guys, as your forms fly, going very, very quickly. None of you have ever moved this fast.
Yeah, 300
As you
feet,
begin
yeah.
to speed up, what goes through your guys' heads?
I'm like almost like we're in the sun, the sun peak or the sun diet, whatever that racing thing was.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
the sun's
Cyberdawn.
ascent.
the
The sun's ascent.
sun's ascent. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'm like leaping as if there were like pillars, like 1 foot to 1 foot to 1 foot to 1 foot, but very, very quickly. And like I just dive off of the end.
And you go
You
over
know.
the edge,
Yeah.
and you feel completely unfettered.
Yeah.
You're weightless, and you just whoosh fall. You see the massive crater of Doresta expand outward and away from you. You can see tiny, like little ants. You see little things moving around deep in the bottom and around the edges, and the land spread outward and away from you as far as you can see in every direction.
I think I'm kind of similar in the sense where I'm just in the moment. Like I'm just like all I can think about is how cool this is,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just floating, and I'll look around, taking the scenery, and then dive and spin and kind of just almost like I'm swimming, just kind of.
Yeah. As you guys
Yeah.
completely, again, unfettered by gravity, weightless, with the ability to see, you see everything spread out before you. And you two so you guys, the two of you can see as like the forms of Flynn and Oma, still vaguely recognizable as they're like, woo, like just diving and going in these big arcs is almost like taking these leaps, but like each leap with her going from like thing to thing is like 40 feet, right?
Yeah.
As her strides take her so much further than they would on the ground.
That's cool.
From Kellick's eye roll to Kira's comment about like say what you're gonna say, I think that right there, I'm just thinking Kira is really grown and in command. And then like starting to whoosh off and take off, just like, ooh, I've always wanted to fly. It's really beautiful up here. I really like it. And just kind of enjoying the view and seeing all of this.
I think I'm a little hesitant. Like I let the others go first, kind of to just try to understand how this works. But I'm a little bit, for lack of a better word, like out of body, because I'm still.
Fair.
I'm noticing the absence of Thessaly. But then once we're partially through it, even though I'm sort of like passively kind of following, I can't help but think of the scene that Famir showed me of like such a high elevation and be reminded and start to compare what I'm seeing here from where it was much higher and sort of like just being inspired by that, by the grandeur of it.
Yeah. You see the curve of the Gulf of Nakir to the west. You see the small port town there of Eranos. You see the lighthouses that are still signaling out to the ships at sea. And yeah, I mean, from your vantage point with Famir, it was so much higher, so much broader, but the pieces of it are there. And for the second time in as many days, Kellick has a brush with the Almighty in that way. And you all, with those thoughts, begin to speed northward as these 8 forms just begin to cruise north. You see as the Gulf of Nakir slowly fades away behind you, as the sort of verdant green hills continue to roll outward and away from the city of Westreach. You see before you just the landscape. You continue northward after maybe an hour or so, almost 2. You see as the first bright lights of a town or city, the nearest major settlement to the north of Westreach of Donvad, makes itself apparent as you now are getting north of the Gulf of Nakir before it does totally fade away. And after a few hours, you can see, actually from this vantage point, you can also see the summer stills far off to the east, where, I think from this high up with this vantage point, you can just very faintly see the smoke that is rising into the sky, the aftermath from the battle and the clash of the armies of Westreach with the Drow in the east at the base of the Summerstill Mountains. And I don't know how everybody thinks about that, but seeing it is definitely sobering in the knowledge that it could have been much, much closer to the place you just left. It's because of your actions that it's not. You continue northward. Yeah, that was wild.
Brain.
Absolutely wild. You continue northward. You see little villages, occasionally little spots and pinpricks of light. You cross Donvad, the next nearest major settlement, And after about 4 or so hours, 3.5 hours, you see up ahead on the horizon what can only be described as a rend in the earth.
Yep.
Stretching outward and away to the east and west as far as you can see for hundreds of miles. Even from this vantage point, it's almost impossible to see the edges. You see the tear. As you guys get closer and closer, you see the width of it. It's just the sheer magnitude of something of this size. It's almost difficult to comprehend what possibly could have done something like this. How it arose, how it came to be is actually the subject of a lot of debate within the scholarly circles of Elbor. They still do not know exactly how it is that the tear came to be. There are disagreements among geologists and the people who study the strata and the rock, and they say that no natural causes could have possibly formed this, although they're a bit of a fringe group in some respects. Whereas there are other arguments among scholars here in Westreach and as far north as Stillgate about the ways in which it came to be. Surely it's water erosion or some such a forgotten sea or lake that we just haven't been able to find the traces of as of yet. And no one is really certain just how deep the tear goes.
I want to get closer to it.
Okay. Yeah.
If I can, without,
Yeah.
I mean, I know the direction they're going and I probably see the clouds,
Yeah.
but I want to kind of pull down and kind of get a better look inside of it to
For
see
sure.
if there's what's inside of it.
Okay, cool. Make a perception check for me.
Do I get a bonus for being missed?
No. Nope.
Missed bonus?
Learn sometime. No.
What?
I just wanted to give that
Yeah.
to you, you know?
Got it. Hey, can't get it if you don't ask, right?
True.
Okay, I mean, 14?
14. Okay. Yeah, as you, your guys' flight path. Yeah. Okay. So you notice a couple of things.
Oh, okay.
As you guys are, going over this massive rend in the ground, you get a little closer and you fly a little lower. And, is anybody else going to go closer as well? Just so I know who to say.
No.
Who sees these things?
I will.
Okay. Olma's going to go as well. Go ahead and also make a perception check for me.
17.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Nice,
Awesome.
okay.
Okay. So the two of you, Kellic and Seeker, you guys see as the two smaller of the mist forms detach themselves and sort of swoop down and away, and get a little bit closer. So as you guys get closer and even lower to the ground, again, the enormity of this thing is just very striking. All told, the tear at its widest point is probably in excess of, let me see here. At its widest point is probably, 50, 60 miles
Wow.
across at its widest point, like from one
Wow.
end to the other.
Yeah.
And then as far as like from east to west, it's probably about 200 miles from like just east to west. It is massive and deep. But as you get a little closer and you fly lower, it kind of extends outward and away from you. And you can see like far, far, far down, tiny little lights. You can also see along the edge of the tear in certain places, you see what look like small clusters of lights as you get a
Yeah.
little closer as well.
People living.
People live
So
here.
yeah, I want to see.
And
Oh.
there are, the tear is actually a very, very mineral rich source in Elbor. In fact, Nuxvar, a lot of its economy is based on the mineral wealth that comes from the tear. But almost all of the lights are concentrated at about the halfway point and east. You don't quite see this, but you do. As you look off to the west, as the lights kind of trickle away, you see basically like across in a portion of the chasm, there's this sort of really thick, overarching stone, almost a bridge, effectively. It's like a piece of the canyon that didn't fall in. And atop it, you see the outlines of buildings. You see completely dark, outlined by the first quarter rising moon of I'm looking at the wrong month. By the rising light of the first quarter moon of this month of Famiris, you see this sort of like outline of what looks like a pretty large city. And it is completely dark. No
lights?
No lights. None at all. Make a history check for me, Olma. You're the only one who sees this. Olma?
I know.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure if you heard me.
I did. I just wanted to write down my notes.
Yeah.
Me too.
Which I appreciate, because
Sure
you
you did.
are
Sure you did.
an excellent note taker.
18.
18?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it's interesting Almost probably heard the context of the story in a different way than anybody else might have. In that you probably heard a version of it that is meant to frighten children.
Okay.
Within the Tear,
Mm-hmm.
once was a great city by the name of Ormfell. It had vast mineral wealth. It existed in a really harmonious balance with the city of Westreach. It provided actually a lot of just like what's the word I'm looking for? Like the smithing and a lot of industry.
Okay.
And also just vast mineral wealth flowed outward and away from the city to Westreach, to the farthest corners of Ganbaldir, even as far north as Stillgate, and also westward into Kaldur before the war. But somewhere along the way, where is it? There it is. You heard about the dangers of ambition and of delving too deep. And somewhere a little less than 3,000 years ago, actually, suddenly Ormfell closed up. No one went in, no one went out. Any attempt to contact the city was rebuffed, or messengers never returned. For months. Nothing in, nothing out. And after several months, a group of foolhardy young adventurers entered into the city to find it completely and utterly abandoned.
Oh, wow. Wow.
No one. No trace of where anyone had gone. No bodies. As if everybody just vanished. And ever since, sometimes, occasionally, foolhardy people will try to go into Ormfell, but are rarely heard or seen from again.
Oh.
Cool. I want to go there. Fuck, I wish I would have seen it.
And now it stands. Desolate, abandoned. Whatever riches once resided within its halls left there to rot. For the fear is far too great to go into that city. And no one knows what happened to it.
Spook.
Very spook.
Wow.
Spooky vibes.
Spooky
But
vibes.
that is what you see.
Yeah, I imagine Rosie told me the story.
Yeah. Actually,
while we were
it would have
cooking.
definitely been.
And like, right,
If you
like,
burn the next one, I'm sending you to Ormfell.
like very, or like if I got too curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if I was like messing around with some of her herbs, and I'm
Absolutely.
sure she had some herbs that like were not so safe to be around. So a lot of like, don't touch that, don't touch what you don't know, because
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the people in Ormfell.
Yeah.
Remember Ormfell.
remember
Yeah.
Ormfell,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's actually, that's probably the exact way that people describe it is remember Ormfell.
So yeah,
when
once I
kids
put the
get a little too
Yeah.
curious,
yeah.
when they start going into places that they shouldn't go,
Yeah.
going into whether it be a neighborhood or a building or something, remember Ormfell.
So once I connect the pieces, I keep my distance.
Cool.
You know, I think about that story and kind of shy away.
Yeah. You see as the lights fade far before they get to that side of the tear.
Mhm.
But you see the little twinkling lights of the various miners who are even now currently delving deep into the tear to explore whatever mineral wealth still, even to this day, continues to pour outward and away from that place. But you all pass. You guys see the lights as well, the various twinkling lights of the different settlements and things like that. You see distantly down in the caverns below. But
When I get closer
Yeah.
with my perception, I see the lights.
You see the
I
lights,
see the
yeah.
the minerals. Do I see people walking in the tear? Do I see buildings? Like, how are the structures set up? Are they like
Yeah.
in the cliffside and there's like bridges going back and forth?
Yeah, as
or-
you get a little closer, your perception check's high enough. You can see, there are like, effectively like, there are switchbacks that are sort of carved into the sides
What's
of
a
the tear.
switchback?
A switchback is like where, so it's you go down and then you switch back and go down, and it's like a staircase.
Oh, like stairs.
It's like a staircase,
Yeah,
basically.
in the wall.
But typically switchbacks are carved into, instead of like stairs are in buildings, switchbacks are on the mountainsides or cliff sides. So you can see that, and like there are different landings that are like carved backwards and into the rock
Cool.
a little bit. None of them are particularly large. Like it's like just these little landings where there's maybe like a few buildings where, that are probably barracks for like miners, basically like company housing,
Cool.
where these miners who go into this town live in these kind of disparate little pockets of civilization that are built into the walls of the tear as they go down, do their work and then come back up. And occasionally now you can see as you kind of cross over and you get a glance of all of that, you can see there is a roadway that leads, pretty wide thoroughfare, one that leads southward and away from the tear. You guys have loosely been following it actually this whole time. And then there's one that leads northward. And you can see like occasionally little bobbing lights that are typically close to the tear. It looks like people either returning from a journey, as opposed to starting out. No one's leaving really at this time of night, but you see a couple little twinkling lights, stragglers that are making some form of return journey into
because it's nighttime.
into the
Late.
villages because it's night. Yeah, right
Well,
now.
and we're moving so fast we can probably cross the tear in 6 seconds.
Yeah,
like
you
we're
guys-
so.
You guys are moving about 40 miles an hour.
Oh, okay.
Is the pace that you guys are moving. So it takes
Oh, okay.
you like the better part of an hour just to get
To
across
cross.
the
Yeah,
tear,
yeah. Okay.
to get over it. Yeah.
That's super cool.
It's like, and that's the other thing is there are big portions of it where you're just crossing over blackness.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Mm,
And then you get to the other side. So,
wow.
and it's, again, that's at its widest point. At some
Yeah,
points
yeah.
it gets less than a mile. Like it kind of
Sure.
opens and flows and
Right.
such. But yeah, it's at its widest point is about 40 miles across. But there are some portions, where you guys are just blackness. Can't see anything.
That's cool.
But you cross over,
Mm-hmm.
continue carrying on northward.
Hmm.
And after about 7 hours of travel, you see on the horizon as you see a collection of lights. And you see beams of light that are going outward and away, kind of like sweeping slowly. You see now that the verdant hills that have surrounded Westreach and approached the tear have gotten slowly a little more arid. Still like scrub grass and such, but not nearly the like emerald green of the surrounding area of Westreach and how lush that land is. As you're getting closer, the temperature has also begun to rise just a little bit for all of you guys, even up here at this altitude.
Mm.
And you can see as the land has slowly begun to flatten off, and now you're getting into more of a sort of almost a plains-like topography ahead of you. And you see sort of like squatting on the edge of what looks like the rim of kind of a cliff face almost. You see a town. You can see thick stone walls that go up for about 30 feet or so, and interspersed periodically throughout along the edge of this town, you see stone watchtowers that come up. And you see the sources of those lights as you can see faintly some form of bright source of light that is like slowly searching back and forth. You see a collection of lights. You can see a little bit of smoke that's curling up from the city itself. And at this altitude, as you guys begin to get closer and closer, you can smell like a slightly acrid, the smell of industry, not unlike Dortamen, the sort of industrial sector of Westreach. That same smell of like smelting and forging and tanneries and that sort of smell.
On our approach,
Yeah.
do the lights shining, do they seem to be focused on the ground, or are they also shining in the air?
Most of them are downward.
Okay, cool.
Most of them are downward. But as you guys get closer, you see as the mist that is Kira sort of like flips backwards and is like flying backwards towards the city, and then is basically like follow me, and begins to go up high and then descend down into the town.
Cool. Yeah, I'll follow.
Yeah.
You guys slowly fall down into the city, and you can see it's laid out roughly pretty, it's like a kind of a relatively straight half circle. You see, though it is right up against the edge of a relatively large cliff face. You can see a series of watchtowers along that side also that are looking down and into what you now see are the wastes. These lights just slowly scanning back and forth.
Ooh.
So we kind of like, we're coming up north. We went around a mountain,
You
and
guys
now we're
went south, and then you went over the tear. The land kind of flattens out. You went up, and then you're coming down into the town.
Oh.
But there's like basically it's like a flat land that falls off precipitously, as
Okay, maybe I
if you're
jumped
on the
out.
rim of another canyon, kind of.
So I thought we were
Does that
going
make
north.
sense?
Were we
You
not-
are. You're headed north. Yeah.
We went over the tear, and then there's a mountain that we went around to.
No.
You
Mountains.
said it's
were,
like a cliff?
yeah, it's like a cliff. It's like
There's another cliff going
Yeah.
down, and there's a city that goes then further north, and they're looking north.
So the city is perched on the edge, so imagine it this way: plains, like pretty flat. Then there's the city, and then right after that city, north of it, it falls off.
I thought the lights were facing it.
No,
they're
there
facing
are.
that way.
There are lights facing everywhere, 360 degrees around
Oh, I
the
thought it was.
city.
You said it was a U.
It's like a semicircle, but so it's like a semicircle with the border on the north is the edge of this sort of cliff that drops off into the waste.
But they're the. Oh, okay. They're
And
at the
there's-
top of the cliff, or they're at the bottom?
They're
of the
at the
cliff?
top.
Okay.
They're at the
Okay.
top.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
They're at the top. There's a couple of things that you notice. There is this town population, a couple thousand people probably. You can see a collection of farms and things like that actually that are kind of along the outskirts. You can see you can see, even in the nighttime, you can see like flocks of animals. You see sheep and large cattle and things like that, like beasts of burden that are all like ranging out and away. You see a couple of farmhouses and big barns and things like that. I suppose all the animals would be in for the night though, or in pens, being protected from the predations of whatever nighttime creatures wander this place. But as you come down into the city, you see the watchtowers dispersed along the edge, and another peculiar thing that immediately probably signals as to why this town is here. You see in the sort of the northeastern section of the town, you see what looks like a rock-walled pond, like a big pond. Not quite a lake, but very, very large spring. And flowing outward and away from it and straight over the edge through a big portcullis in the wall is like a river, effectively. There's a very, very powerful spring that originates right here on these cliff faces and then falls off into the waste. And this town was largely built around that spring and that source of fresh water this close to the waste. But as you come down, you see the city of Nuxvar, or the town of Nuxvar, kind of spread out inward and away from you. You are flown down towards a structure that is in sort of the northeast or northwestern corner of the city itself. And I will show you guys my very, very terrible sketch of Nuxvar. So you see how it's kind of like a semicircle, The red border up along the north is the cliff face along which the walls are built. Each of the red squares represents one of the watchtowers that even now is sweeping those large lights. You can see now that you've gotten closer, there's big mirrored housings around what look like large crystals that have gathered light, and it is being projected outward and away. And you can see the beams as they just track across the expanse of dirt in all directions away from the city. And you smell that smell increases. And you see in the southwestern section of the city a row of buildings that even now have light pouring outwards and away from the windows, and thick curls of smoke that are going upward and away, being carried away on the breeze as industry is rocking and rolling here in Nuxfar.
We started traveling at night.
Yeah.
It's been about 5 hours, 6 hours?
We went in
7.
About
So
7 hours.
It's almost 1 in the
Oh,
morning.
so people are like, oh, it's 1 in the morning.
And these,
And it's still
it's only
cranking.
this section of town, but it is still cranking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think everybody make a history check for me.
History.
Yeah, history check. Seeker at advantage.
Oh.
14.
14.
Hey, what's that?
Critty bang bang.
Your first roll?
Yeah.
Nice.
Can it get better?
Man,
Should I
we
do
got
it
a lot
again?
of good omens. We got a lot of good
Can't
omens.
get better.
Can it get better?
So,
I got a
yeah.
13.
13, 14, natural 20 for a total of
Of
A million.
blah blah blah. Where's history? 23.
23.
Nice.
And Kellic.
15.
15. Okay. So perfect. DC's
13,
15.
14,
So it makes
15.
sense
Oh,
that
nice.
the older gentleman would know about this. You've been alive long.
Whatever.
So
Older.
Hey, it's a trade-off. I got the
Yeah.
knees. I gotta have something in return.
My knees are getting there now. Like,
Find your random knowledge of this stupid city.
hey, you don't say that. Nuxvar, very, very strategically important for this country of Ganboldir.
It's a very important city.
Most of the weapons that are pushed towards the southern front come from this place. This is a
Yeah.
major weapons manufacturer
Ooh.
for Westreach.
Burn it down.
It's right. Its proximity to the tear. It's far enough back from the war front so that it's not super strategically assailable by Caldurian forces.
Yeah.
And it has tons of fresh water, and is almost unassailable from the northern side because of the wastes, although not entirely. So it's strategically relatively easy to defend. Far enough back from the war front, has water, and again, close enough to the tear that it has become a center, especially over the last 30 years, for weapons manufacturing production.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
and there's
which
a lot of minerals
explains-
and resources in the area.
Very
Totally,
close by.
yeah.
Very
Yeah,
close
and
by.
not much else going on in this town.
So this town is almost entirely geared
It's like
towards
a smithing
yeah,
ward.
it's one big forge.
Wow.
And in fact, with your role, you know that there is a local holiday here called the Day of First Forging
Oh.
that celebrates the town's founding.
Cool.
Aw.
And it happens on the 7th day of Solara of every year.
Wow.
But you all descend into the city through the plumes of smoke drifting upwards and away, and you are led downward into the sort of northwestern quadrant, and land behind a large sort of sprawling building, and can smell stables as you all land on the ground. And you see as Kira slowly, from the top down now, starting at her head, begins to demystify. As she, I thought you'd like that.
That's very good.
As she turns to back to her solid form.
Mm.
You look around, don't see anybody, any people watching you or anything like that. So you all begin to turn back into your physical
Yeah.
forms.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Does it feel different? I don't know. Do I feel like heavier?
Yeah, you feel yourself literally solidify. So that feeling of like weightlessness goes away, and you feel more solid and connected to the ground. Just reaching out, pushing one another.
That's what's pretty
Oh,
cool.
boys.
Yeah. Magic.
But you all
Mm.
turn back to solid form. What do you guys do?
Kellic, are we gonna get started going into the waste now?
I think that's gonna be up to Kira. I think we ought to follow where we're led.
She's the expert. Right, aren't you?
Kira, is it intended we rest here, or are we tracking on?
We have lodging set aside for the evening, and she turns and kind of looks over her shoulder at the stables, and beasts of burden set aside for us to carry our supplies into the waste. How are you all feeling?
Solid.
Yes.
Good.
There's a slight upturn of the left side of the mouth at the joke.
Surprisingly hungry, I guess, as soon as I rematerialized.
Yeah.
I could eat.
Takes quite a bit of energy. And she turns over her shoulder. We can rest here for the night and depart first thing in the morning at first light. For the remainder of our journey, we'll travel in the morning and in the evening, resting during the hottest part of the day. So it will be tough to adjust to the schedule. We'll travel mostly at night.
Oh, we are used to not sleeping
Yes,
ever. so-
I don't know that we've ever had a schedule,
No.
really, besides running from place to place.
I think this is the most we will have us.
A routine would be kind of refreshing.
Would be great. Cool. Anyway, yeah.
Brows kind of knit and furrow at the weird inside joke. Your guys' total lack of sleep schedule.
I pull on Kellick's cloak. Well, if we're going to be traveling at night, wouldn't it make sense to continue traveling then, right now, and not waste? I mean, why are we going to start at first light and then
I think-
stop like a couple hours later and then start again at night?
The quality of rest that we're going to get here is going to be better than the quality we'll have for most of the next few days.
This is your last opportunity at a bed for quite some time.
I don't look at her when she talks to me. I'm only talking to Kellick.
And sort of acknowledge Kira's saying that it'll probably be worth it
Yeah.
to get a good rest where we can.
Yeah.
Get some supplies. Get some good food.
Leave feeling whole.
Okay.
Kira, you supplied lodging. What do we owe you?
It's part of my fee.
We've paid enough, Seeker.
Okay.
And she just turns on her heel and walks towards this building. Letting that hang in the air. Oof. Oof. As you walk in, you kind of go around the corner and approach the back entrance, actually, of this sort of squat, sprawling building that you see, one of the larger ones in the immediate vicinity. As you guys kind of come out from around the corner, there are two, you see, like, basically perched up on top of the roof of this stable, kind of in the front. You see two young men, probably in their late teens or early 20s, both with longbows that are like loosely held in their hands. Kind of like perk up real quick and then look down, and then Kira just like pulls down her hood and reaches up a hand, and they relax. She appears known here. You hear like strange, like as you guys cross the stables, you hear weird noises, like a braying, like strange, not a horse, something else.
Stacy's sister.
Yeah, Stacy's cousin.
Yeah, you guys hear like this strange braying noise.
Gross.
But continue on, walk through the doorway, and you see before you a very modest inn. It sprawls outward and away from you. You see tons of tables that are all like strewn about in various ways. You can see a couple people that are just like slumped at tables, heads down. It looks like someone has gone through and like lifted their heads and put like basically just like folded dishcloths underneath their faces.
It's a nice city.
Just to provide what comfort can be provided.
Yeah, right.
You see, pretty like an inn that you would see in almost any smallish, medium-sized town in Elbor, with one exception. Above the bar in the back, you see like almost like crossed over one another, as if like a family crest of some kind. You see a frying pan and a bent ladle. Both of them have like bits of what, like, you guys have been doing this long enough, like dried blood on them.
Oh.
and that's just like in a place of honor and prominence, right above the back of the bar.
I love that.
Like normal size, just cooking
Just a
utensils.
normal frying pan and a big soup ladle that is like metal that is kind of bent. And you see sort of standing on a stool behind the bar. You see stout, pretty thickly muscular, surprisingly, about in his 50s, at a whopping 3'6", sun-kissed skin. You see a round, weathered face with that like look of like stretched, like that leather-faced kind of look, like someone who spends way too much time in the sun, basically. You see like auburn hair that's almost been bleached in places by the light. Dark brown eyes that very quickly and sharply come up and clock all of you guys. You see a small scar across the right eyebrow as you see a halfling man that is sitting up on the bar doing what innkeepers do late at night, which is just polishing all the silver and all the cups and things like that. As you guys walk in, he like waves a hand and just says, what the hell? And yeah, he just lifts up his hand. Welcome to the Dusty Mug. How can I help you?
What do you have available as far as food? We're quite famished.
Oh, of course. Food can be provided, my good friend. And then he clocks Kira, and you can see that he recognizes her for sure. Welcome back, Kira. New companions. And Kira just kind of quietly nods. She says, yes, Gashar. New companions. Gashar. Gyshar. He says, and Kira just says, we've been traveling quite a long time, and we could probably use some food in the rooms that I've asked for. And he nods. Absolutely. Anything for you, dear. And he like gives her a big wink, like one of those overcompensating ones, and then calls into the back and doesn't get a response. Probably fell asleep again, and then hops off the stool and walks in the back. And you see as the door, like you don't see him go through them, you just see the doors open, and then they swing shut as you guys have the common room to yourselves for a moment. So,
Kira.
Yeah.
Curiosity prevails. How often do you make these trips? How frequently do you see Gashar?
She looks at you for a moment as if deciding how much to tell you.
Yeah.
About 12 years I've been coming out here. And her eyes kind of like it's like she stops herself before completing the look, but her eyes do kind of dart over towards Seeker. Probably once every 2 or 3 months.
That's a lot.
Hi. Honestly, seems quite the miracle you're alive. That many trips into the waste.
It's been a close thing, more than once.
Well, we're glad you're here.
You must have had a good teacher.
Why don't we sit down?
Huh?
Why don't we get the table?
Okay, yeah. Should we get some drinks?
Yes.
And as the drinks cut, so the doors, you don't see him again, but you can see the top of a tray.
Love that.
As Gashar walks out, and you see like mugs of water and ale have been brought out for all of you guys, and you see what looks like a very just sort of hearty stew with thick bread. You can see big chunks of beef in there. To keep this town running, a lot of the surrounding area is very ranch and like farm worthy. There's a lot of livestock and various animals that are frequently brought in here to just keep the population well fed. There's a lot of laborers here. So the food that is typically available is very dense, very calorie dense, and just tends to be very hearty.
We're gonna need that.
So yeah, there's like thick
carb load.
stew, with big chunks of potato and carrot in there.
So good, I'm so hungry.
And then like big chunks of bread that is like deep dark brown with oats and things like that in there as well. know, and just thick slabs of butter and one of those little things with the honey dolloper. I don't know what those are called.
Like a honeycomb spoon?
No, it's
Yeah,
the
like one of
stick.
those things.
It's the honey stick. It's
like
like
a honey
wood
stick,
with
yeah.
sections.
It's a little.
Yeah, honeycomb stick. It's
Is
But
that
it
what
looks
it
like a comb. It looks like a honeycomb at the bottom.
Yeah, one of those
yeah.
things. Anyway, it's got one of those. And he just like slings this out with the efficiency of someone who has been at this a long time. And just like splits everything out to you guys as Kira does begin to speak. It is a lucky thing that I've made it out alive as many times as I have, and that's in no small part due to knowing when to run and knowing when to fight out there. There are things in the waste that I've never heard or seen of anywhere else. Magic, almost everything out there is not impervious, but hardier than typical creatures.
Great.
And
Too bad you don't have a sword or anything like that.
Well, I was just starting to anyway. It's fine.
and it's just something to bear in mind. And in the waste, magic can sometimes turn against you.
How? What?
What? Like
As it can in other places.
your
It just
Some respect.
your own magic can turn.
your own sometimes. It's
Shoot a look at home.
I've read enough to understand that whatever events have happened and created this place, there's some residual effect. And just be careful. That's all I can say.
Okay.
I'll just like rub my fingers together and like kind of summon some of that evocation magic
Mhm.
just to see if it looks different. Not enough to cast a spell or even a cantrip.
Nothing here that you can see that's distinct or different.
I kind of flick it off as it just kind of dissipates off of my hand.
Mechanically, whenever you roll Wild Magic Surge, you roll at disadvantage.
What?
I want to take. I listened to the first part of this,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna take a big chunk of bread in my soup bowl, and I'm gonna go outside actually, and I'm gonna walk towards the edge
Okay.
of town, towards the waste.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys, Oma just pops up and heads out.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like not even looking at Kira talking.
Okay.
I don't wanna,
Oma, where are you going?
Do you answer?
I just keep walking.
Kelly, should we follow her?
Be safe out there, Alma.
Have fun.
We give her so much trash. It's crazy.
She's growing up.
No.
Gotta
All
let
right.
her find things herself.
Cool. So yeah, we'll cut to Oma as she wanders off. Yeah.
So I'm gonna be eating my bowl of soup as I'm walking and everything, but I do want to get to the edge of town, like
Yeah.
right where I feel like the waste is kind of starting.
Okay.
If that's possible. How far is that?
So yeah, it's not far. It's
Okay.
maybe a 10-minute walk to get to the sort of the edge.
Wow.
Yeah.
For the sake of it, like it is difficult to get to a place, but you're Oma. So and it takes
Up on
it takes you a little bit of time,
You can
but
burn a
like
key point
you're
if I
able
need to.
like you're able to
Get up on this hill on the wall, maybe.
yeah, like after a little while, you're able to climb. You have to climb because the walls. You get to the northern, like you follow the road. There's basically 4 major roads. There's an east-west road and then a north-south road in Nuxvar. The city's laid out in this grid that's very efficient. You follow the north road and you get to a large gate that is closed and barred, and you see that there are 2 watchtowers, but that are doing that same. And as you get closer, you see these massive crystals and these mirrored housings that are being physically manipulated by soldiers that are up there. But you're able to and climb up the wall, and you see the waste. You see this cliff fall outward and away from you, probably about 150 feet down. You see a series of like the gate opens, there's a short landing, and then there's switchbacks that drop that are carved into the face. And then you see the waterfall of the stream off to the east of you, and just that expanse of flat land.
I want to sit on top of the wall. Like I don't want to go into the waste, but I do want to sit on top of the wall. I'm thinking about how the waste was created. I'm thinking about Alexandra's sister and how basically her magic, my magic, created this space.
Yeah.
Do I feel anything in the air? Like, can I feel like is there any connection or any kind of like, I'm just curious.
Do you're sitting into that and trying to kind of like feel something? Do you meditate in the way that you've been taught? Make a wisdom check at advantage for me.
So cool.
What?
So cool.
At advantage, just a straight wisdom. 21.
Hey.
All right. Oma, as you sit on the wall, the bowl of soup forgotten and sitting on the wall behind you. You take a moment. You close your eyes. You breathe. And all of that races through your mind. Until eventually you achieve that fleeting sense of stillness. And you feel it. Like in your chest, like in the pit of your, like at the base of your chest where your stomach and heart meet. This resonance. This slow, almost like breathing in and out. And for just a moment, as you can almost behind your eyelids see those tendrils of deep purple. You feel the primal, the arcane, and the divine all mingled and knotted and crashing and flowing. And as you extend your awareness outward, somewhere out there, yeah, there's an epicenter of all of this.
Oh shit.
Scary.
Yeah.
And it, whatever that is, beats in time with whatever's in you.
Oh, can we shut it off? Second mission.
Yeah, I'm just gonna continue to meditate on that. And like Cecilia and
Cecilia,
yeah.
Fallen Storm.
Yeah, and think about the magic that is within me was created to be a weapon and was created to cause this, like damage like this. And so just kind of like the weight of that. I'm just gonna meditate on that.
Okay. And yeah, you do. Oof, that's heavy. Back at the tavern, as Oma sits up there and experiences that. What are you guys doing?
It's like, I know she's a kid, but I know she's an adult, but like she's still a kid.
Well, she's not an adult, but she's got a great amount of...
Like, how much longer should we give her before we go check on her? Like, what if she fell? What if
She
she got
will-
captured?
She will come to us or signal
Sometimes
to
she
us
doesn't,
if
though.
things go awry. She will.
Fine. How's your soup?
Could use some more mushrooms.
Yeah, I bet. You guys ready?
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know how magic will behave, so that's hard to prepare for.
Yeah, I don't know what that's gonna do to him. Well, Oma, but me and basically everyone here.
All of
used
us.
I mean, I guess maybe should we test it before we get into a fight? When we get down in there, should we take a pause and see how maybe the best?
Like, say, hold on, bad guy. I want to...
No,
No.
like when we get down in there.
Oh, when we get there.
Once
Yeah.
we're under whatever effect it is,
Yeah, maybe just cast a few cantrips, see how they go. Maybe cast a first level spell to see how it goes, and then we can start moving.
Kira
Kira?
kind of shrugs. You can try,
Just-
but
Is it consistent?
in all my months that I've spent wandering out here, I've never been able to discern a pattern.
we're talking about an event that was designed to kill the gods?
Yeah.
Something approximating that? How do you account for that? Especially my magic I draw from the gods.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
So, I don't know.
What normally happens? Did you cast magic, Kira? What are some common things to look out for? Not working, backfire,
Turning into a goat. No,
yeah, turning into ravens.
I've had things explode, things transform. I've turned colors. I've lost count of the ways in which whatever, and she just turns vaguely in the direction of the wastes, is out there works. But some of the creatures out there are able to harness it and use it against you.
I see.
I guess we'll just follow your lead then.
And watch out, be careful of the pools.
The pools.
There's... And she I'll point it out when we see it.
Please do.
Okay. What do you owe? What do you need to find for Melanope, for the dryad?
She looks at you. Roll a persuasion check for me, Seeker.
Persuasion?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
still mad at you, right?
There's an
Yeah.
there's an edge. Every time she talks to Seeker or looks at him, there is almost a gritting of the teeth. There is a definite difference in the way she speaks to Seeker than any of them.
Versus every, yeah. This is persuasion.
Yeah. I'm gonna say your DC is 22.
Fuck.
She's mad,
Yeah.
and she knows how you work.
It's a 20. Dirty.
Damn.
I think that's between me and her. And she crosses her arms, sits back.
Yeah.
Another round of drinks, maybe?
I'm gonna,
I'll take
I
one.
think, go up to our lodgings.
Okay.
Right.
Keep check on her.
She would be all right.
Okay, all right.
At which point, as you guys begin to sort of get up, you see as the half-elf, the woman who's been with you guys, has been pretty quiet this whole time. Now, as they've entered into this place, they've all let their hoods down and you can all see the features and everything about them. You're able to confirm now in close proximity as this woman lifts up her sleeves to dig into her meal. You are quite proficient with healing items and medicines and are familiar with a lot of herbs.
Yeah.
As you look, almost all of the tattoos are poisonous plants.
Ooh.
That's
Some form of venomous plant or seed or mushroom.
Spooky.
All of her tattoos and everything, all the iconography around her, most things are venomous. And you confirm the sort of those strange spots and chemical burns extend all the way up the floor. And she leans forward. Well, now that we've all arrived, it seems it's time to part ways. We'll attend to our business, and Kira, I trust you can look after all of them. And Kira, yes. And then turns to you guys. They won't be accompanying us.
So they were just to come here.
They're on other business.
Ugh.
one thing at a time, I guess.
Focus. Get focused.
And it's been a real pleasure flying with you all. And she pushes up, and as does the other gentleman, the Vorn and who you would have caught his name at this point. It's Danon.
Danon.
Danon. They all basically push their plates and their bowls and all of their mugs into the center of the table. They stand up, and you see as Vorn, the
Goliath.
prosthetic
Goliath,
Goliath
yeah.
with the steel
With the
jaw,
steel jaw is so cool.
turns to Kira and signs to her. And he says, "We'll be a few days on our business. Do you want us to wait for you when we're done?" And she signs back, "No, I'll be much longer. Back home when you're finished." And then he, to her, signs, "Got your back." And she signs back, "Got your front." Or she signs back, "I got my front."
If I could catch his eye, I'll just sign, stay safe.
His it's hard. He's very difficult to read because the lower half of his mouth is metal and doesn't move. So
Right.
everything's very in the eyes and the eyebrows. But his eyes kind of just briefly, there's the briefest furrow of the brows as if in confusion before slowly almost just signs back, "You as well."
Let's nod.
And then he lifts the hood. One thing you guys have actually noticed, and then as he walks away, one thing you notice, that man moves remarkably quiet for someone that
Yeah.
you can't hear him, which is weird. This guy probably weighs 320
Because
pounds.
he's 7'3". Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
That's wild.
And
But
partially
as he
metal.
walks, as he walks away, can't hear him.
Huh. Okay.
Or you guys have to strain to hear the heavy, what should be thudding heavy footfalls, remarkably light on his feet. And the 3 accompaniments that you guys have had just up and exit the building. And you're left with just Kira.
I look at Kira with a question in my face, but I say nothing.
Okay.
Kellic has already walked up.
Well, I'm assuming this was just happening sort of as I was beginning to express myself from, or I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you
had
guys-
Yeah, I
already
thought
left.
you were saying you were getting up or no?
Yeah,
You were going to
yeah.
bed?
I was sort of signaling that I was
one of those things
where
where you stand up and
And
then
then
they
they
stand
stand
up.
up,
And
yeah.
so it's kind of this a goodbye of sorts
Right.
as the 3 of them turn and leave.
Which I would regard them with my eyes, but there would be zero nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
there are zero communication from me toward them at all.
Yeah.
Just a look of wariness.
Well, yes, good night, I suppose. What time should we expect to be up?
Just before sunrise.
All right.
It gets hot very quickly in the waist
I suppose it would.
and very cold at night. So I hope you've packed accordingly.
We should be all right on that front. Good night.
Night.
Okay.
You want to stay up and drink until Oma comes back?
Yes.
If we may not see her, but
Wait.
What?
And I'll go into my bag
Mm-hmm.
and I'll go for a little stone that I have, I believe.
Yes, you do.
And I'll hold it up. Oma!
Out on the thing, you hear Alma in your head.
I have a stone too, though.
You
So
do?
it
Yeah.
comes from the stone, or it comes just in my
No,
head?
it's in
It
your
allows
head.
you to cast sending to one another.
Mm.
So you hear it just like you would hear Kellic.
Got it. Do I have
Yeah.
to speak into the stone, or my stone, or?
It allows, I guess you technically would have to hold it, but you don't have to talk into it.
Yeah, I'll,
That's great.
I'll like.
Unless I think it's funny that Flynn is, but
I like. Flynn?
that's it. That's sending. You guys both stopped.
Oma, where are you?
Len,
Don't hear it.
You're upstairs.
I'm across the room.
Oh,
Because they can only send one
It
message a
it's
day.
only one sending a day.
Oh, is
So
it one a
yeah,
day?
it's
I
one a
didn't know
day.
that.
Yeah.
Wait, I would have said more.
I was
Okay.
gonna tell you because that's hilarious. You just Oma, one
Yeah.
word sending. Flynn, one word sending back, and that's it.
That's right.
Which is hilarious.
As I'm turning up the
Yeah.
landing, I just kind of look at the 2 of them. We got to let people be who they are and go where they go.
Aw.
And then I go upstairs and find my quarters.
All right. Yeah. You're like Gashar has a key for you. He walks over as seeing that you're about to
Mhm.
retire and gives you a key to one of the rooms upstairs. You're able to head off to bed. The lodging surprisingly comfortable. Like everything here is modest but well made.
Sure.
Another thing, there are many, many, many travelers that come through here as a result of just the continuous caravan and industry.
Mm-hmm.
So like these places that don't accommodate travelers well don't survive in Nuxvar. So this place has very solid accommodations, even though nothing's particularly fancy. But yeah, comfortable bed, clean sheets, like a nice little wash basin, all the kind of normal amenities that you could expect in a modest inn.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're able to find your quarters.
Since I've heard Flynn call me,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and clock where I feel the epicenter coming from, and then
Okay.
make my way back to the inn.
Yeah, I mean it's from like as you kind of feel the connection of that kind of fade into the background, it's just dead north
Dead
from where you
north,
are
Do
now.
do we see you come back?
Yeah.
Eventually,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd say like about 10-15 minutes after the sending, probably, Alma, you make your way back into the...
Flynn, did you call me?
Yeah, I don't really know how it works.
In my head?
Yeah, the stone thing.
Oh, right. Okay.
Remember?
Yeah. Okay.
I guess you can only do it once. You didn't get the second message?
No.
I asked where you were. You didn't get that?
No. But
Okay, I guess
I'm
it's
back.
once per day. Okay, good to know, I guess.
Do we have rooms?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I'll turn to Kira.
Okay. Good night.
Well, we were... Okay.
She didn't bring her bowl back.
I brought my bowl back.
sitting on the wall of it. Awesome. All right.
Give
Well,
me
I guess we just got these beers. We might as well finish them. We were waiting for her to get back. We have full beer now, but we might as well...
I'm just...
Fine, and I'll chug it too.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, you guys just pound beers, and as you're drinking, Kira just pushes away from the table, walks
Our beers come
upstairs.
down and she's gone.
Yeah. She sort of stops at the landing of the stairs. Gashar gives her key, and just like turns back and just makes eye contact with you. And then like almost you see her like breathe in as if she's gonna say something, and then like shakes her head and walks upstairs.
When she turns,
Mm-hmm.
I rub the ear.
Mm.
Over the earring. Good night, Kira.
I still can't believe she gave that to you. Good night, Seeker.
You ready for bed?
Did I catch you looking at her?
Probably, yeah.
Were you her shield?
Was supposed to be.
I don't think you failed. She seems fine.
She does seem fine. That's true. Let's go to bed.
Yeah. All right. Then I'll go to bed.
You guys head up the stairs, and Kellic?
I will, assuming there's a window.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you said the moon was
It's
in
the quarter rising.
for rising.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to catch that light in a basin of water.
Yeah, you can.
I'm going to pull the necklace off. And I'm going to allow it to catch, like hold it up to reflect into the water. I'm going to trace the rings, and as I do, the like very light sort of scarring on my head flares into life. The 3 rings that I've just gotten, as these embers like swirl around each circle and flare up, and these embers like lick up into the air above me. Ostendi veritas. And I'm going to cast legend lore on this necklace to find out whatever I can about it because of the way that guy reacted in the temple. Name or describe a person, place, or object. The spell brings your mind a brief summary of a significant lore about the thing you named. The lore might consist of current tales, forgotten stories, or even secret lore that has never been widely known. If the thing you named isn't of legendary importance, you gain no information. The more information you have about the thing, the more precise and detailed the information you receive is.
Okay.
Did you have to attune to the necklace or no?
Yeah, I'm attuned
So
to
you're
it.
pretty
I'm pretty
fucking
familiar.
well known with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this takes about 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's the casting time on it.
Okay. You cast Legend Lore. And you focus on the amulet that you have in front of you. And that's fucking awesome. And as you cast the spell, it's not words that come to you, just a series of images, memories. You see the common room of Peak's Respite, atop the monastery, from the perspective of where the amulet sat. You see time quickly come and go. You see blurred figures that move in and out of the frame as the sun rises and sets and the moon rises and sets. And then you see as suddenly the perspective shifts and the amulet is brought down. And you see a figure you don't recognize, an older woman, very, very far on in her years, but likely Rosie's predecessor at the Peak's Respite. And then very quickly you shift and you see a small, gnomish gentleman with a big backpack and all sorts of accoutrement and all kinds of weird bits dangling from it. You see with a bronze headband across the top of it as he hands it over in exchange for what looks like an old journal of some kind, like a book, totally unmarked, just a plain brown book. No identifiable markings on it whatsoever. And then time accelerates again. You see from the perspective of it being worn across the chest, alongside others, like all kinds of little necklaces and beads and things like that, as you wind down roadways and eventually find yourself in a city you don't recognize. You see as this gnomish gentleman trades the amulet for another item. And you see as the gentleman that he's trading it with, you see long curving ears, deep dusky gray skin. You see a patchwork vest and pants, as you see a goblin, not known to you. And suddenly time accelerates again as you see this goblin pick it up out of the dust in the waste. And you see as you look around a room, you're not sure where you are, but you're in a darkened room, and there are skeletons that are laying down outward in an array, away from kind of a central point. Five of them, as the amulet is taken off of a skeleton by this goblin in some building you've never seen before. Time, once again, accelerates quickly. You see a pathway, as if you're moving far, far faster than you were just moving under the effects of this spell. You see as towering rock formations and dirt and dust all kind of mingles in this just fast-paced, incredibly quick flurry of sensory input until you find yourself on the precipice of a cliff, your hand around the amulet, as you look out onto the expanse of the waste ahead of you. There's a town behind you. Familiar. Smaller. The walls aren't there. The watchtowers aren't there. But the waterfall trickling over the edge and into the waste. As you see the expanse of everything out ahead of you. And it ends.
think I still have in my bag the book, whose name is bizarrely escaping me now, but the Tragedy of the Lost.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open it up and start to like search through if there's anything in there about the 7 people who went into the waste to put an end to the fallen storm. And I don't know, it'd probably take me till I got too tired to continue. But I'm gonna just spend the rest of my awakeness, my cognizance doing that.
Yeah.
So,
You search through the book, and it takes you probably another hour of searching, going through all the footnotes, all of the various events that are cataloged in this book, until you find a passage that speaks of 7 individuals who headed into the waste. And there you see referenced a cleric of Famir, a young woman.
Wow.
I look up at the moon, give it a little kiss, put it back on, and I turn to where I know the waste is. Whether or not I can see it from my window, I like look to it.
Yeah,
if that makes sense, you know.
Turn in that direction.
Yeah. And yeah. Damn.
A very long path this thing took to get to you. I think we'll end there.
Wow.
Quite the journey that little amulet had.
That little guy.
We were clouds.
We were clouds.
We were clouds.
Indeed,
Ernest
you were. You were a lot of things tonight.
I think so.
All right. Well, thank you
And
all so much for
Culkin?
watching. Hope you had as much fun watching as we did playing. We'll catch you next time. Bye, nerds.
Hey nerds, it's Shane,
And Rebecca.
and we're here to thank you for listening and watching to that episode of Venture Forth. If you enjoyed the episode, and even if you didn't, please do like and subscribe on all of the platforms.
But if you didn't like it, I mean, you're still here, which is kind of cool anyway.
I feel like maybe you did like it, and maybe now you're having a crisis of conscience about whether you did or didn't like it. But I suspect that you did. But whatever case, who's it gonna hurt for you to give us a little thumbs up on whatever platform you're using? And while you're there, you can check out our website, ventureforthdnd.com, in which we have a merch store, a brand new merch store.
New merch store.
Where you can get stickers of every PC currently walking around Elbor. And isn't that just a delight? They're really nice stickers. They're 3-inch die-cut stickers, I
it's such a
believe.
delight.
They're super. I'm really, really excited
Delightful.
about them with that beautiful art that Emily E. Made for us. So please do go check those out. We are shipping those out ourselves, and you'll get a little handwritten note from
us.
Yeah.
You'll never know who.
You'll never know which one of us is writing it. So yeah, please do check that out. And thank you so much. And we'll see you next week, nerds.
Bye, nerds.
Bye, nerds.